don't force them if they feel like they don't want to go to this activity. Again, be curious. Why is that? Is it because you're tired? All right, so how can we support, resting, still going to this activity that you love, but resting in other moments so you have the energy to go there. Just like being curious and accepting to create something, and just like honoring their differences. They're not like the most people, and so it's important to honor that for sure.
Welcome to the Unschooling Lifestyle, the podcast that challenges conventional education and invites families to redefine success on their own terms. If you're ready to break free from outdated systems and embrace a life of curiosity, connection, and true freedom, this is your space. Join us as we explore real stories, practical insights, and inspiring conversations that empower you to trust your instincts, partner with your children, and take the path of least resistance toward the life you've always dreamed of. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unschooling Lifestyle. And today we have Marigol Era. And Marigol was my very, very first guest on this podcast. Marigol is a fantastic, beautiful soul that is a projector. And we are here to talk all things unschooling, human design, and how all of it comes together for her kiddos, her family, and into her work, which has been evolving and growing, right? Super deep. So thank you, Marigol. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julieta, for having me again.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you again. So let us start by tell me your human design type and a little bit about you so people can kind of start get to know you.
All right, so I'm a projector, profile 1-3, and splenic authority.
Yes.
So yeah, so I've been coaching. So that's my title. I've been coaching, I've been unschooling. I have a podcast as well. And yeah, all the good things.
I know your unschooling journey a little bit, and that's what we talked about on our podcast. And back then, I wasn't really into human design as much as I am today because I was still at the beginning of my experiments. How did you find out about human design, and what were some of the reflections that came up for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been unschooling for like since the beginning of my oldest daughter. So she's 13, and human design came way like after that I started. I think it was 3 years ago or something. So when I discovered that I was a projector and that I read about it and was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. I feel like the unschooling lifestyle was so fitted for me, and my two daughters are also projectors. Considering that we don't have the same amount of consistent energy,
Yeah.
the unschooling lifestyle is just like definitely more aligned into like the lifestyle that we can create. So yeah, so I wasn't surprised to know that I'm a projector. I wasn't one of those who are like super depressed because sometimes projectors don't have the best reputation.
Yes.
But I was like, yeah, like that suits me. I'm definitely somebody that guides people. I'm definitely somebody that is different. Doesn't like, I always felt like I wasn't made to fit, in the mainstream. I don't know. It brought a lot of peace, actually, knowing that I'm a projector and I wasn't just crazy and trying not to fit into something. It was my design.
What a gift to know that and to get that validation that you weren't crazy, like you say. And also, when you said that you just don't have the consistent energy, and that is so important because even for I'm a manifesting generator, so I do have sacral energy, I have root energy, but I have to say that if I am doing something that does not light me up, it completely, literally drains my energy.
Yeah.
So, not because I have it, it means that it's always available. When you finally realize that, what were some of the early experiments as to work with your energy and to find out about waiting for the invitation? Because that's a big piece for the projectors.
That was so hard. That was so hard. I have the ego
Yes,
defined.
you have an
So
ego defined. Okay,
yes, and
that
so
makes sense.
I tend to, push and go
Hmm.
and then burned out. So when I realized that this wasn't a line, I shifted my whole, routine, my whole life just actually shifted. That was very interesting. And my my authority is splenic. So it's like right
Yes.
in the moment. So it was just like learning how to trust that
Hmm.
and mixing that with waiting for the invitation. I feel like those two for me made that thing easier because it was just like if I okay, so waiting for the invitation, that's a challenge because you're like, what does it look like? How did like what does it taste like? Who is inviting me? What's an invitation? Like, why do I have to wait for that? Like that doesn't make any sense, you know? Like, am I just like waiting here doing nothing? And I was just like at first that's how it felt. And then after I realized that no, waiting for the invitation, it's doing you every day unapologetically. Just do you and show up. You don't need an invitation to show up, but do whatever feels right for you, and then the invitation just comes, you know? And so, like, let's say with my podcast, no one told me, hey, you should do a podcast. I had this intuition, clinic, you know, just like intuition, like I
In the
need to do it.
moment.
Yeah, in the moment, I was like, oh God, I need to do a podcast. Like it was so random. And the minute I had this intuition, I went on Facebook. I wrote to my following people, like, just, hey, you guys, I'm starting a podcast. Like, it's so random. Like, but then I had like 100% that
I was going
actually
to
show
say,
up.
because you had to stop actually taking requests from people wanting to be on the podcast, right?
Yes. Yes.
And did you learn about your daughter's type right away too? Or were
Yeah.
you experimenting with
No.
yourself first?
The minute I knew about human design, I did my whole family. I was like, let's
Yes.
do it. Let's, and it changed so many things in our family dynamic because both my daughters are projector, as I said, and I see how their interaction with the world is very different from other people. And I relate more to that. But like my oldest daughter, she has like only those, I don't remember the name, but the two in the head that are light up, that are defined.
So she only has, so is she a mental projector then? The
Yes,
ashna and the head.
and the head.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So those two, and so it's all about like being
Yeah.
over here, and
Yes.
she's so strong over here, and she'll burn out mentally way easier if she doesn't respect her own boundaries. But she's not one to really want to go outside, do all kinds of stuff. And before I would have probably tried to force her, but now I respect that there's like this boundary where she needs to learn how to be in the world because she has everything else
Open.
open,
Yeah.
and so everything just like hits, you know. And it can be tough for those people that are grounded in some kind of like lower center to go out in the world and explore that. So it's like, you know, drip by drip, you know, and
Yes.
respecting her into her process. So my two daughters are a projector, my husband is a manifesting generator.
Okay.
And before, I was always frustrated because he was, for me, scattered. In my in my conception, he was scattered. And I was like, dude,
Yes.
this isn't working. Like you need to just like focus on one thing.
Yes. Oh,
But it's
yes.
like it's just unnatural for him. So he will start the stairs that like he was like building the stairs, you know, for our porch. And I was like, and then I was my girls were like, "Well, do you think he's gonna be done some like soon?" I'm like, "I don't know. We'll see. You know, when he feels like doing it." You know?
That is so funny that you mentioned the house because Marigol also lives in an old house and I live in an old house
Yeah.
too. And we were just talking about yesterday I was talking to my husband. We're both manifesting generators, but we still have very different profiles and stuff like that. But we were talking about the pantry in the basement that it's like the whole basement is like half finished, like it's not finished. And I said, well, I said, if we were really into the pantry, that pantry would get done, but it's just, we're not ready to do that just yet. So it will just sit there until we're ready. And he was like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah. But he gave me so much freedom.
Mm.
Did your partner did he find that, like, I don't want to say maybe validation, because I really felt validated. Like, I listened to a podcast about being a manifesting generator, and I remember breaking down in tears because
Mm.
I felt the validation of myself, that I knew that there were so many things that I didn't want to finish, but I felt pushed by other people in society to finish. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was truly going against my nature. So I wondered, did he feel any kind of like, validation, or just like, okay, I'm not supposed to operate like that? or from
Well,
that?
yeah, kind of like that. Yes, we were actually so funny. We were actually talking about this yesterday, and I was like, like before, I would have just like put a rush on you for fixing X and Y and Z.
Hmm.
And now I'm like, I'm just trusting your process. I know it's going to get done. I know there's no time lapse or timeline on that. Like, I know it's going to get done at one point, but I don't know when. And if I do make just a little pressure, it's just not working. It freaks him out. Like, and
Yes.
our relationship is like I control less of him because I understand, I trust his process. I
Oh,
know
that's
he's
so
gonna
beautiful.
get it done. Yeah.
Talk to me
Mm.
about, so the not self of the projector is resentment. Talk to me about before finding out these two pieces like success, and how do you define success? What does success looks like for you,
Mm.
Marigold, in this moment? Because that's a big piece. And I feel like that
It
similar to
is.
education, like unschooling, like our definition of education and what that feels like, it's different for every family. So how do you define success, and the resentment piece of when you're not in alignment? How has that
Mm.
been for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I see it like, I feel like there's a separation for me. Like family wise, I see success in a different way that I see it business wise.
Yes.
And
Okay.
like it's an evolution piece, like for me business wise, because I've never been really into having a career or anything like that. I was more like I want to have fun and stuff, and so I'm learning how to define success right now business wise. Like
I
it's
love
it's a
that.
it's a challenge.
Yes.
Family wise, I feel like I have success when my girls come to me to express whatever they're going through. Like this is how I define success in my family. If I see that my girls are doing something that feels super aligned for them, and that I help them, I guide them through their own process and support them in their process, that's how I feel super, successful. Yeah, but business wise, yeah, that's a challenge right now. That's my challenge, my personal challenge. It's unclear. It's like I feel like I've been trying to start this business for 5 years, and I felt like success was money. And so if I didn't have any money coming through this business, I felt like I didn't have a success. And so I'm learning how to redefine that right now, but it's a process. It's a process, and it's a frustration
Yes.
to not understand. Yeah, how does it? What is it? What? How does it feel? How does it taste? What is it? The success? What is like? I know that success is a big deal for us, Projector,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I felt like it was easier for me to find success in my motherhood, and so I kind of just stay there for a while, and then
Yeah.
I've been trying in a way that I don't think it's aligned fully. Like it's interesting. It's interesting. I'll say
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
I think those are the pieces that I love about human design, is that it's an evolution and it's a
Yes.
process of experimentation. So without the experimentation, I feel like it's hard to kind of get down to the bottom of it. And I love how you said too about your family, how you have defined the success that you feel as a family through, your work in unschooling and your family coming to you, which is one of the biggest reasons why we do this, because of the connection we get to create with our
Mhm.
kiddos.
Yeah.
So, and as you all three are projectors, how does a day looks like for you? Or do you guys have cues or words when you're like, okay, I think I need to like step out for a few minutes, or just like
Mhm.
chill in the middle of the day? Because I take micro naps. And like I said, I'm a manifesting generator. I'm supposed to have all the energy, but I do not all the time. So I do take naps, and I know that's one of the tips that sometimes it's talked about for a projector, just to like stepping out for a few minutes here and there to
Yeah.
kind of recharge. How does that look like at your home?
Yeah, well, since we're all Projector, and this like we spend a lot of time together, us
Mhm.
three. So yeah, so my oldest daughter, she's the one that needs the most space. So, and she's the only one, as we said, we live in a fixer upper, so we decided to give her the only closed room with a door and stuff. So she has that because it's important for her to have this space, this sacred space where she can just close the door and just be in her things. My other daughter and I, we're still really close. She's 8, but we're still like really, really close together. So it's like with a newborn, you don't necessarily take breaks, like it's like part of you. So my youngest daughter, it feels kind of like that still. And lately I've seen, detachment. So she has friends that lives right across the street, so she'll go play with them, and I observe that when she go play, she goes and play like all day, and then when she comes back, like there's no way of talking to her. And I respect that. She needs the space to actually, stop everything. Just she doesn't want to talk, she doesn't want to interact, and she'll just like stay by herself, watch TV or draw stuff or read a book, but she'll like you see like the energy is like no. It's like don't even try.
No, I got you. That is, oh my goodness. See, this is why I love this work so much, you guys, because without it, I feel that we tend to give this narrative to our kids that we're supposed to be happy all the time and we're supposed to be available all the time. And I feel like when we are in the school system, that's kind of the way I felt that I was going, right? We
Mm,
were supposed to be happy and doing all the things, but I'm like, we're not supposed to do all of that. But when you have a tool that supports you to kind of navigate those things, because you have done a lot of work, you have done a lot of reparenting, inner child work, I mean,
mhm.
shadow work. That's one of the, I think that probably might have been one of the topics we talked about in our first podcast, right?
Yes.
So all that work, eventually trickles down to the relationship we have with our kiddos and holding space for them.
Mhm.
Do you talk to them about the mechanics of human design to them? I
Oh
know they're
yeah.
a little older. Okay. Do they know like about
Yeah.
projectors and all of that, like what it means?
Yeah, and my oldest, as I said, she's really mental, and so
Yeah.
it's, I don't, I don't consider her like living her life according to human design, like perhaps like explicitly like human design, but
Yes.
I just see like by giving her the space, she'll just go through her life as a projector. It's validating also this tool, which is so precise, just help me really understand my kids and let
Yes.
them go through. It's like a foundation. It's like, yes, of course that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
my youngest kid, like she cannot eat when we're a bunch of people around the table. She cannot. Like she'll not be able to digest her food. So it's like she'll ask me, "Can I go eat in the living room?" And I'm like, "Of course." It's not like an offense or she doesn't want to, or we should just, no. It's like according to her chart and respecting her design is like, yes, you go and you take all the space you need to eat. That's fine. It's
Yes.
like how to embrace all of us, all those
Yes.
little parts of us that needs to be held and considered, and to actually live according to what's real, for us.
Yeah, and to experiment because it's so different. I also feel the same way about the food. As if I'm not in a quiet environment, I do not enjoy my food.
Yeah.
And my kids are the opposite. So when they ask to go and, either watch the iPad or the TV or just eat at a different space, we normally it would be offensive because it's like you want to keep them at the table, have
Mm,
dinner together. But I'm
yeah.
like, we're together all the time. This is about meeting in the middle, not upholding a rule or something that may not serve us in that moment. Of course, we have meals together, but it doesn't happen all the time. So we don't, and I'm okay with that. It was through human design that gave me the tools to put unschooling philosophy to in a more practical state. So it's been really, really interesting. So as you go through it, how does resentment falls for your daughters? Because I feel like most of our kiddos, they're born with they follow their design naturally, like instinctively, like they
Yeah.
know it and they follow it. How have you seen resentment show up, or when it shows something for us, so we're kind of like out of alignment in a way. Have
Oh
you
yeah,
seen that?
definitely. Well, yeah, for sure, for sure. Especially in my oldest, but even in my youngest. But my oldest, she has this YouTube channel where she draw, and she's so good. Like I'm just like amazed by the work
Yes.
she does. And being a projector is like being really focused on one thing, and so she excels. Like she'll draw like 40 hours a week. Like that's her full-time job. She's drawing, on her computer, on her iPad, on a sketchbook, she's drawing. And when she doesn't have the views on YouTube, like she put in so much effort and she's just like, and it's not working, like you can see the resentment. Or there's like this amazing creative shop right here in town that just opened, and I'm like, girl, you gotta go and put your art into it, like just let's create a course, let's like, I think that makes sense. She's such a good teacher. She teaches me all the time, drawing, I mean. And it's like, yeah, that's super fun to actually be in her energy, and she's teaching me stuff that she knows really well, and I'm like, let's go, like, you're 13. When I was 13, I was working, like babysitting kids, and it was really fun to have my own money, and so I'm like, go. Then she's like, it's like, since it's me that it's inviting her, it feels like she's not responding to that invitation. And so there's like resentment there, that's like, oh well, but well, it's not a, like it does, like no one really wants it, or she's like closing off. So I don't know, I'm just like letting her go through her own process. But yeah, when she doesn't have the result that she's expecting, she'll, yeah.
Just like you said, I think sometimes we do have to go through our own process to understand
Yes.
what that feels like. Because once you understand the feeling, for me, is frustration and sometimes anger. Once I get down to those feelings, I'm like, okay, this is showing me something. Like if I was happy all the time, which it would be impossible with my emotional authority. I mean, impossible. There's just no way. There's just no way. You would not know what it feels like to be out of alignment. Just like if
Yes.
you don't experiment with success or satisfaction, for me, I wouldn't know what it feels to be in alignment of what gives
Mm.
me energy, which is an incredible experiment for anyone out there. If you're just finding out about your design, stick to the basics of strategy and authority and
Yep.
find out what it feels like to be in alignment, to feel
Yes.
success, satisfaction, peace, surprise, and find out what it feels to not be in alignment, because
Mm.
then those two things will just carry you a long way. I'm just gonna catch up at this point because I want to know, you had your podcast and then you stepped away from the scene for a little bit. So
Yeah.
what were you working on? And I see that beautiful background that you have. I love it so much.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I needed to take a step back from the podcast because I was actually in a training to become a different kind of coach, because I'm an Ayurvedic wellness coach. But lately it felt like it wasn't fully who I wanted to be. So I felt drawn to understanding more of a life coaching and intuition, and really connecting with my intuition to actually help people more than having protocol and health stuff, and like I did with Ayurveda. I didn't have fun anymore. So I was like, all right, so just let's try something else. But it was so much that I wasn't able to do both. And so as a projector, I was like, all right, I need to make a choice, because I'm going to burn out real quick if I try to do the podcast, do the training, coach people, have a family, renovate the house. It was all too much. So I was like, all right, just respect that right now. You need to focus on that. So that's what I did for like 6 months. And so I just got certified. I'm very excited about it. And
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was a big training. That was very fun and also super challenging, but it was really interesting.
Okay, okay. What were some of the interesting parts that you find that were different from the work that you have done?
Yeah, well, like as a projector, like I'm gonna just keep on pushing a little bit on that
Yeah,
because
and please feel free to expand to
yeah.
onto why it makes or why it matters to you right now, knowing that and knowing how your energy functions.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so as a projector, you have to wait for invitation. And so I felt drawn to purchasing this program. So I went in. And then while I was in, like, I'm used to people, being drawn to me because, that's my energy. And then people tend to invite me into stuff. And so I didn't experience that in that program. So that was really triggering. And we were talking about success earlier, and I was like doubting myself a lot because I didn't have those I don't know, invitation, from, and then I saw the teacher that was inviting all kinds of people in the program, but she was never inviting me. And so I felt really out of place, and I started to doubt myself, and it just
Yes,
like unraveled like a whole, like, is that my place, like doubting myself and
of
stuff. But
course.
yeah, it's like how to, like, I was questioning myself, like, how can I be fully myself as a projector, as a woman, as a mother, into a business, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
how to actually go with the flow and respect my energy, and waiting for those invitation, which are like clients in this world. And I don't know, yeah, it was really challenging to actually not be invited and to see everyone else invited, and then like I felt so left alone and so like by myself. And just like, it reminded me, it was so crazy, it reminded me my high school experience, where I felt so out of place. I felt like I didn't belong. I was like, what am I supposed to do here? I just want to go to art class and French. That's the two things I want to do. The whole rest of the thing, I don't care about it, but I'm kind of forced to do it. And then I felt like I was, trading, like a weird trade, like where you trade yourself to fit in. And I felt myself go into that in that last program that I took. And so it was like trying so hard. I built 4 freaking programs fit in, or something. Like there was this energy inside of me that was like, my God, you need to show them how capable you are, like that hustling feeling that personally I felt in the school system. And just like this discrepancies, like there's this program, but inside of me that doesn't feel right, but I'm not listening to this because I need to listen to that. And so that was kind of the energy. It was very interesting and challenging. It felt really like a do-over. So yeah, that was interesting.
Okay, so let's go back to trading yourself because when we are completely conditioned, we have to trade ourselves in the school system with our family members to be able to fit in into this role. And I see that because last year in December, my husband and I made the decision to stop drinking. But I remember asking
Mm.
him, I'm like, do you remember why you started drinking? And he said, yes, so he tells me the story. And he said, do you? And I'm like, honestly, I started drinking just to fit in into a group of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here I am 20 years later doing the same thing still just to fit in into a group of people. And I'm like, I don't even remember saying I want to have a drink or whatever. And please, this is not to shame for people that still do. It's your personal choice. But
Yeah.
my point here is that it wasn't something that I wanted to do. It was something that I did so I could fit into a group. And I feel this. So, this program that you're talking about, that you say you were trading yourself to fit into the program, is this the program that you just finished?
Yeah.
So, how did did it change for you? How did it turn into a more positive experience?
Yeah, at the end, yes.
Okay.
I've It helped me take my power in a way that feels aligned for me.
Okay.
The way the program was set up, we were learning a lot of coaching skills, and I realized that I already have those skills. It's already something that I do, that I have. I've studied that. I went to university studying that. So I was more interested in the intuitive part of the
Because that's
program.
also your gift.
Yes. And so I was really interested into that, but it was a really unsatisfying the way they were doing it for me. So I
Okay.
needed something deeper and to actually go into it, And it was like the whole program was really disorganized, and they were just like always launching the program. So there was always new people coming in. And so we were always redoing the same class because there was always new people. And so it was really disorganized. And for me, like, I need something that's like structured well so that I can flow. So it was just not giving, like, and the teacher was just like, she was just like, hey sister, like, but I was like, girl, I'm not your sister. Like, we don't even talk, you don't know me. Like, it felt so fake. And I'm very sensitive, like, I
Yes.
don't want I don't know, like the energy, what was sold to me and what I was getting was not really like what I was
The
expecting.
same. That's so funny. I feel like you see that a lot in the coaching world.
Yes.
Like what people are selling to you or to us, because I have also purchased
Oh yeah.
packages from people,
Mm-mm.
it's once you get in there into that, like it's not what you expect. So it
Mm.
feels to me, so did you get that intuitive part that you were looking for?
I did not, but also, like you said, what you just said, it's like as a coach, I don't want to screw people up. Like I don't want
Never.
to sell them something that, so I didn't feel like integrity learning from a
Yes.
person that doesn't do that. And
Yes.
so it felt like really wrong. And it's like, yeah, it felt really like high school where you learn stuff that you don't want to learn, but there's something else. But that container, like how to actually be myself in that container without fearing what people are going to think and everything. But I made a really good friend in that program and we were coaching each other and she was coaching me on that. And at one point I've realized like I was finished with the program and I was resisting even like having the diploma. And so we went into a really cool coaching session where I realized that I didn't want to have this certificate because I didn't feel aligned with the way they were teaching it.
Yes.
And so after I've like unlocked that, then I've decided to actually apply for the certification. And then after that, I went to a few classes and I was just like going just to experiment being fully myself, unapologetically myself. And all those programs that I created out of, trying to fit in, I just like put them on the side. And then I've decided to actually create something that will get result for people that I feel really aligned with and that I feel 100% in integrity,
Yes.
and so and that's what it is. And that's where people in the coaching industry don't, it's not about the money. It's just not about the money, but it tends to be when you
Yes.
lunch and lunch and lunch and lunch and you lunch at 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, the freaking class, the freaking program, and you got like 10% signing up every other month. Like, yes, of course you're going to be millionaire for sure. But are you true to yourself? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I would rather do less money and have like the real impact, in
Yeah.
people's life. That's what I want to do.
And I feel like as a projector, that really suits you well, though, because you are very good at the one on one. I am working with a projector person for branding and some flow into the graphics and all of the stuff that gets out on social media. But before I knew she was a projector, I felt that she was a projector because I have never been in a conversation where someone asked me questions, but not only that, it wasn't just a question. It was the way my answer was coming out, that it literally came from the bottom of my soul. Like I felt that she got all this information from
Mm.
me. And I was like, oh, I'm like, where'd that come from? And then after that, I asked her and she said she was a projector. I'm like, okay, this makes so much sense. Because when we were on the one on one, I mean, I have never felt, like I said, so seen by someone into everything that I've been through. And she helped me put all of this together. But it feels to me that this coaching experience not only help you again define what you're truly aligned with and see how you do not want to operate as you move forward into helping people.
For
And there,
sure. Yeah, for sure. Like that resentment part, like at
yes,
first I had it really strongly in the program. I was like, gosh, I'm paying good money right now. Like this is insane how much money I'm throwing at this person and she's not delivering anything for me.
yes,
So it was just like those, oh my God, I felt so much resentment.
of
And
course.
as you said, these are just information. So it's like this resentment is an information for me to gather and to see, okay, so what's going on? Why
Yes.
is this creating so much resentment in me? And what can I do to actually go back into alignment that like into like creating the business in that case
Mm-hmm.
that will fit for me and where I will support people but feel supported by the people that I hired to support me, you know?
Honestly, I mean, this is something that I've always seen. And as we move forward into like, so here it is unschooling, right? It's a way to be away from the mainstream education system. So we have chosen that. As I feel in my case, as a result of choosing unschooling, we have also have to have chosen to do money differently. So there are
Yes.
different careers because we are with our children, 24/7. So our careers have to be changing a little bit. And there is so many things that have happened, but I feel like sometimes in the world, like in the homeschooling, unschooling world, there's a lot of coaching that gets thrown out there, but some of it feels very not authentic. And some people, I feel like they're just trying to sell you stuff. And I have always been so against that. I'm like, I do
Mhm.
not, I have a hard time selling anything really, unless I really love the product, which is the way I do things. Whenever you hear me share about a product, a person, or a system, anything like human design, it's truly because it comes from the bottom of my heart. Like, I cannot do it any other way because you would be able to tell.
Yeah.
Because I cannot fake it. I mean, people say fake until you make it. I cannot.
Same.
So that is so fascinating. But I feel like there's a lot of movements, there's just a lot of pressure also to do it now, do it soon. Otherwise, it's that fear of missing out, that FOMO, and I'm like, don't do that to people.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, exactly. It's like by knowing that, it's like how I move forward into something that feels fully in integrity. You know, it's like that's the thing. It's like I don't want to create FOMO. I don't want to push people. That's
yeah.
not I don't want to hustle. I don't want
No.
that. It's just it doesn't feel good. I just want to help people create the life that feels right for them, you know? And
Yeah.
for us it was unschooling, but at first when I was I'm going to be advocating for unschooling, but then the people that are coming to me, they're not unschooler. Like it's just a modality for me. It's just the way that I've created my life
Yes.
according to who I am. It's not like against the system. At first it might have been, but right now it's just like what feels most aligned
It's
for me.
what feels more aligned for you.
So it's like you want to do unschooling, yes, of course, that's cool. And if you don't, that's cool too. Like most of the my kids, their friends, they're all in school. No one I have one person in my surrounding here that is an homeschooler. And so it's like at first when I began this journey of unschooling, I was really restrictive into like
Yes.
the
Okay. Yeah.
people that I
You were, Dana would call it, you were on the Bible face, I think she used to call it, right?
yeah,
Because Marigold and I met actually through Dana Martin's advocacy program.
yeah,
And I remember when I first started with Dana too, she would say, "You're in the Bible program," because I wanted everyone to be on schooler. I wanted everyone. And 5 years down the road, 5 years, that's how long I've been in it. I now realize what Marigold is saying. If you're on schooler, cool. And if you're not, that's okay too. We have friends
yeah.
that go to school, we have friends that do not. Either way, we are just searching the life that works best for our family and our children.
ex-
So, what is working? So, you finished this program,
uh,
and we kind of went on a tangent, but I think it's important to know because people that are thinking to leave the education system, I want to venture out and say you will have to start looking at where your money comes from, because you are making a decision to choose your children over the standard 9 to 5.
mhm.
So, there's always a decision making there, and there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of stuff out there that claims to do one thing, but in reality, they don't. And I feel like
Mhm.
we both, Marigold and I, we both have I purchased programs before that did not do anything of what they were saying that they would do for
Yep.
me. And nowadays, I follow my strategy and authority, because those emotions will get the best of me. As
Mhm.
you went through this program and you're finding out what integrity looks and feels for you, what are you creating that it's supporting people, and what areas are you creating your programs around?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm very excited about this. It's like my whole life I've always been on the fringe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found comfort in creating stuff. And for a long, long time, I was writing a lot, writing every day. Like I had like books and books and diaries and poem or whatever I was writing. I was writing stuff. And I thought that I was going to be a writer when I was young. I was like, I'm going to be a writer. And then later on, I found dance. And so I was dancing. I was like
Yeah, the
expressing
one thing.
through
Yes.
music to dance.
Yes.
And then later on, I found painting and then I started to paint. And that's the medium that I think serves me the most. I really, really, really enjoy painting in a way that express something that's like stuck inside of me. Sometimes we cannot access.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just don't have access to whatever is there, but there's something blocking. And
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, you can do shadow work, and of course, you can do therapy, and you can do a somatic movement or breath work or anything. But for me, my modality, the main thing that I do all over again is painting. And when I reach really deep and I put that on the canvas, it creates a detachment and I can actually look at what's going on. What is actually going on inside of me? And so there's this whole process that I do that I've been like, writing down and creating a program around that. And it's like how to really deeply connect with your intuition and create stuff from that space. And I feel like if you create stuff, let's say with painting, and you're not a painter, it doesn't matter. It's all about embodying
Mm-hmm.
this energy of reaching down and creating from intuition and not judging, just
Oh.
just expressing it the way it
Mm.
needs to be. And so the best example I have right now is the other day I was doing a painting and my intuition was like, take the lime green. And I was like, there's no way. I was resisting the color. It's so silly. But my whole painting was like, I was like, it's not gonna fit. It's just not. I was like
Talking to your
battling, yeah, I
intuition.
was I was battling my intuition. I was like, it doesn't make any sense. And then at
That's
one point I
so
was like,
funny.
yeah, and then I was like, meta, just like look, just like, okay, bird vision. And I'm like, all right, stop fighting your intuition. That's crazy. Just trust the process.
Just do
Take the
it.
freaking green and just throw it on the canvas. And it turns out super amazing. So it's just like learning in a playful with paint and
Yeah.
collage, or it's just like bringing this that playful energy and like getting dirty and just like
Yeah.
just tangible stuff, like you're in the matter. And so by doing that, the more you do that, the more you explore what it means to be with your intuition. What does
Yes.
it mean? Where does it scream not to go? Why does it scream not to go? Why are you resisting that? Like, what's the danger for you? And to just like actually put that onto the canvas and detach yourself, there's like a magical moment that happens where you're like, oh fuck, that's what's happening. And
Yes.
then when you do that in a group setting, that's where people are just like resonating with what you're doing. You're like, oh my God, I've seen that. Oh, I see that in your painting. Oh, that's what brings something up for me. And
Yes.
then like you create resonance and relationship through whatever you're creating. It doesn't even matter if you want to hang it, in your living room. That's not about that. It's not about skills. It's about expressing. It's just
Yes.
about expressing and getting to know yourself in another way. So that's what I've been doing, and it's amazing.
That's
It's very
so
fun.
beautiful. I can tell too, because you sound very excited. It's
Yeah.
like I do see a different energy in you. And there's always been this energy, but I feel this like fire as you get to describe this process, because it is so true. It is just about expressing, unblocking, and finding out, detaching yourself to see what's going on there. I've always said about deschooling never ends, it just evolves. And I think
Yes.
the more you pull out of you, it's just the lighter you will be as you get
Mm-hmm.
to examine whatever you're working on, whatever's going on. Like you get to see that from a different perspective. So what would you say to parents that are finding that they are themselves projectors? Let's just start there, and then we'll move on to how to best support our kiddos that are projectors. If the parent is not a projector, like I'm a manifesting generator and I function very different even from my generator son, which we're both generator types, but we function very different. So
Yeah.
let's start with the parents.
Well, I think the first thing that I would tell them is to be curious. Just be curious about your design and what does it mean, and not judging that design, and just like going with it, allowing yourself to actually experience what it means to be a projector for you, where you need more support, and really speaking out. Me, like, I know that when I understood that I was a projector and that I was pushing myself way too much,
Yes.
and that I needed space. And just talking about that with my husband, like, it created a whole different dynamic. I gave him more space because I needed that space. And so it's truly like a teamwork,
Yeah.
especially in unschooling. Like, it's such a teamwork, it's such a team effort. And so just getting to know yourself and be curious about that design for you and for your children. I think it changes everything. Just,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. How about for the parents that are having projector children?
Don't force them if they feel like they don't want to go to this activity. Again, be curious. Why is that? Is it because you're tired? All right, so how can we support, resting, still going to this activity that you love, but resting in other moments so you have the energy to go there. Just like being curious and accepting to create something, and just like honoring their differences. They're not like the most people, and so it's important to honor that for sure.
Yes, especially if you follow anything about human design or astrology or anything like that, there's this talk about the 2027 evolution of the solar
Mhm.
plexus, and projectors are here to help us move into a different flow. They have the bird's eye view, so their wisdom, when it's invited, it really does something for you. So
Mhm.
if you are interested in working with Marigold, where can people find you, Marigold, right now?
Yeah, Facebook at Marigol Era, or Instagram, same and all, Marigol Era. So yeah, these two are the easiest
The
right now.
easiest right now. And then as far as your program, when do you think is do you have a launch date or
I
anything
think,
of the sort?
yeah, I think this thing, it's going to be exclusive to 3D people. So because I need to
Okay.
be in the movement with them, but I'm thinking about creating a retreat once in a while to really have people come and really create something for a whole week, a whole process. But for right now, I'm really just enjoying giving it to 3D, not virtual.
Where are you creating the space then, location wise?
New Brunswick, just across Maine. And so for now, that's where it is. I'm staying open to whatever is coming through. I'm going to be online still. Like, I still have my podcast, and
Yes.
I have amazing project podcast wise too, with a co-host. I think it's going to be so fun. But I feel really drawn to,
To the in person. I
yeah,
love that. That intuition never fails, peeps.
exactly.
It never fails. So follow your intuition
Yeah.
wherever it takes you. I feel like you are meant to be there. So,
Yeah. Thank
Marigold,
you.
thank you so much for your time. I really,
Yeah.
really appreciate. It's always such a pleasure chatting with you. So thank you so
Always.
much.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And for everyone out there, please remember that your time is precious. I hope you're making it count. See you next time.